my dear sewing friends, it's Alisa here. I'm really happy to see you and welcome back to the Sew Easy series. This is season 2, episode 4, and since summer is basically knocking on our doorstep, everything is in bloom, all the bright colors, I thought, why don't we use the good old fail-proof combination of taking a gorgeous floral fabric and then combining it with a very simple yet very feminine design to create a beautiful blouse or a dress. It's definitely totally up to you. Let me show you some of these floral fabrics. I haven't decided just yet which one I'm going to use, but these are the ones that I have picked for this project. 2 of these have a beautiful crinkle texture, but all 3 of them are blouse weight with a beautiful drape, which is essential for the type of sleeve that I'm going for. To get started on my pattern, I will go ahead and find my bodice block with a dart from my pattern binder. But in your case, if you don't have a bodice block, of course you can draft one. I have a full step-by-step tutorial. I will leave it for you guys in the description. But as always, I would like to encourage you to use what you already have on hand. So let's say you have a commercial pattern for a blouse or a dress that you absolutely love, you've made many times. You can take that and modify it. Or, on the other hand, if you have a blouse in your wardrobe that you absolutely love, you can also copy that and turn it into a pattern as well. So plenty of options. Choose the one that fits you best. I have copied my pattern blocks onto fresh pieces of pattern drafting paper, and we're going to start with the front. First, I want to do both, widen and deepen the neckline. Then I want to shorten the shoulder seam, but I want to bring the underarm section up, so that way when I wear the sleeve, which is quite open, you won't see my undergarments. I don't necessarily care for this bust dart, but I also want to make bottom a little bit flowier, so I'm going to use this bust dart in order to achieve that. Before I proceed with dart manipulation, I'm also going to lengthen this by about 2 inches. Now I'm going to cut this and this line. There it is. Now I'm going to shift it up in order to close the bust dart. And now it is going to give me that open and flowy design on the bottom that I'm going for. Very quickly fill in this space so that way it's easier for us to work with that. Then I have to connect these 2 pieces. One of the last things that I want to do is widen the side seam by about 1/4 inch or so, and then also straighten it out just a little bit. And that's it, we're done with the front pattern piece. Now it is time to do the adjustments on the back pattern piece, and here everything is so much simpler because the front pattern piece is going to serve us as a guide. First, I'm going to do the same as I did on the front, widen and deepen the neckline. Then I'm going to shorten the shoulder seam and bring the underarm section up. For the side seam, flare, and the bottom hem, I'm simply going to trace the front pattern piece. And that's it, the back pattern piece is done. One last thing that I want to do before I cut this out is to quickly double check that the length of the shoulder seams align on both the front and the back, and the side seam should match because we traced it from the front pattern piece. As a very final step, don't forget to include any necessary markings on your pattern pieces. Alright, so the bodice is done. Now we need to move on to the sleeve, and here we're going to use one of my favorite techniques, which is going to be a slash and spread method. As always, I'm starting by copying the pattern on a new piece of paper, and this is the sleeve that goes together with the bodice block that we just worked with. As you can see, I also made it a little shorter, and the adjustments that we're going to do are exactly the same as we did for the bodice block. And over the years of using this kind of sleeve, I've learned that it's pretty forgiving, so it's a little bonus. That's the reason I'm going to be pretty freehand with all of these adjustments. This is where the sleeve connects to the shoulder seam. There, in the bodice block, we shaved off a little bit, so here I'm going to come up a little bit and curve this line into the existing sleeve. This is where the sleeve connects to the side seam of the garment. We took it a little bit out, and I also brought the side seam a little bit higher up. So I'm going to do exactly the same, and again curve it in back into the existing sleeve. I have finished up by building out the side seams of the sleeve. Now we have to slash and spread it. Here I've marked little dots 1 inch apart, and now I'm going to do straight lines up for my slash marks. Now I will cut through all of these lines. Next, once all of the slashes are done, we're going to spread it evenly just like you see over here, but do it on top of another piece of paper because you will need to tape it down and then cut it out in order to achieve your new pattern piece for a sleeve. the center of the sleeve used to be this line that we cut apart and spread. So I've marked halfway point over here, and we're going to mark the new center of the sleeve, which is also going to be the grain line. Now all I have to do is trace around it and cut it out. Now that all of the pattern pieces are done, it is time to cut them out of fabric. And I think that I have settled on this beautiful floral rayon. It's already washed, so it is ready to go. As always, I draft my patterns without seam allowances, so I add them as I cut my fabric. While I'm getting this done, I wanted to take a moment and say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart to all of the members of the channel for all of your support. I truly appreciate you, and make sure to check out all of your members perks, because we have members only mini series, early access videos, members extra deep dives, like for example this jacket, and for these pants and many more. So definitely check out your members perks, make the most out of them, and again, thank you so much. And if you're not sure what memberships are all about, you can always take a look in the description of this video. Now the fabric itself is quite delicate, so I want to start the entire process of sewing by stay stitching the neckline and the armholes. After I stay stitched my necklines, I realized, wait a second, I do have to have some sort of closure in the neckline so that way I can pull it over my head. So I did cut out a keyhole closure at the center back of my blouse and then finished it with a little piece of bias tape. Now, as always, I do have detailed tutorials for all of these techniques, so I will leave them for you guys in the description of this video. Next on my list are shoulder seams, which are usually constructed by placing the front and the back right sides together. But in this case, I want to go for French seams, so the order of sewing is reversed. This is coming together very quickly, isn't it? It's because the design is very simple. Perhaps a little too simple for some because there's not a lot of bells and whistles. But you know, with years I have actually realized that sometimes you have to have a very simple, very clean design to let all of that beautiful print shine, because this is a very busy print and I love it, but you have to let it take the central stage. You have to let it sing at times. And I actually was inspired by the blouse that I'm wearing right now. This was actually one of the most recent upcycles that I did, and I am so glad that I did it, because when I first made this top years ago, it was sleeveless and I really wasn't wearing it that much because of that. So I decided, you know what, let's just add a sleeve to it. And thank goodness I did have some fabric remnants, of course, because we do hold on to our special fabric remnants, don't we? So I had enough to cut 2 sleeves, and the sleeve is just a circle, but it has so much fun and so much movement. So I started wearing this blouse out when I completed the upcycle, and I couldn't believe how easy and effortless it is to wear it, yet you still feel put together. You still feel like you're wearing something nice. So the idea for a very simple, very clean blouse with florals and a little flutter sleeve came from this one. Next, I finished all of the side seams separately on the serger first, because I had an impromptu idea of incorporating a little slit in the side seam. So instead of sewing the entire side seam with a straight stitch, I actually stopped about 3 inches above the hem and then pressed the entire seam open. Now to secure this little slit, I simply neatly top stitched around it. Now the hem on the bottom of the blouse is a simple double fold technique that I always love and do. After this, onto the sleeves. Here I have completed the first one to show you how it looks. The seam here is also a French seam, and the hem is a narrow double fold technique. I know that this is a very small detail, but I really wanted to mention that I love how this orange thread works with the blue background of the fabric. Now, once your French seam is done, it will be a little challenging to complete the hem, so to make it neater, I am reducing the bulk of the seam allowance. Now I can easily fold it in and complete the hem. Once the sleeves are done, I'm going to first baste them in by hand, and after that, sew them in with a straight stitch and complete the seam with a serger. Alrighty, the very last step is to finish the neckline. Now here, just like for the keyhole, I'm using handmade bias tape that is also going to become ties in the back. Alright, I think it's time to take a look at the final result. Here I'm made another impromptu addition of a little belt that I made from the same fabric. It gives this blouse extra versatility because now you can wear it two ways. To give you some extra ideas, I also wanted to show you this blouse that I made from exactly the same pattern using another fabric, and what a difference it makes and how it changes the overall feel of the garment. And we will talk about it more in the next Members Extra episode. So, what do you think? I personally really love this simple design, and I hope that you will see beauty in this as well. If you want to see how to create really fun palazzo pants that would go really well with a blouse like this one, go ahead and click right over here. Thank you so much for watching. I truly hope that you will enjoy wearing your blouse, and until next time, happy, thoughtful sewing. I'll see you soon. Bye!